Welcome to the Creative Cow Show. I'm Bree Clayton, and today I'm speaking with TJ Galda, who is the Director of Product Management with Omniverse at NVIDIA. Hello, TJ. How are you?
Hi, great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. So today we're going to talk about the Omniverse at NVIDIA, and I guess we should just kind of introduce it. Maybe you could let us know what is the NVIDIA Omniverse and how can it help creative professionals?
Great. So Omniverse, first and foremost, is a platform. It's focused around collaboration and simulation. And so as a creative professional, you can bring any of your creative workflows that you are, obviously know and love and bring that into Omniverse and connect them together. And so what's really cool is because it allows collaboration between different tools and different people. So you can think about collaborating either with yourself between different tools or with a group of people. And you can really mix and match the tools that are most effective for you and for the job and bring them together. And then the really great thing with NVIDIA, obviously having such a rich history with GPUs and rendering, is that we're focused on making it so that you can look, whether you're building a building or you want to see how the building looks in a city or a product or, obviously entertainment type work, and bring it all together in a consistent way. And so, whether you're building it in one world or a different world, you get the same result. And so it makes it really easy for a creative to look at, if I'm building, let's say, this product and see it in place on the counter or maybe in a different environment and not have to worry about tweaking things independently. So we're building the sort of the plumbing, if you want to think of it that way, but the platform that allow people to do all of that.
And with regards to NVIDIA itself, how does the Omniverse fit into the NVIDIA Studio platform?
Right. So Studio, as you know, we've been working on from the ground up, focused on creators, building custom drivers, working on obviously the graphics cards and building different laptops and different hardware specs, and really focusing on making that effective for a creator right from the beginning. And Omniverse is a natural fit into that, where you can start bringing in your RTX cards and starting to work, like I said, in whatever application that you feel most comfortable. And so it's a really nice marriage of the software coming together with the hardware.
What are the requirements for a user? Say someone wants to develop their project on Omniverse. What are the requirements?
Yeah, so we just announced that Omniverse is free for individuals to work with. So it's actually a great time to jump in. If you do have an RTX card, you can grab that, and it's pretty straightforward. You grab what we call the launcher, which is essentially our little marketplace of all the different apps, and then you can download that and install, and away you go.
So, with regards to the size of the Omniverse, how can the Omniverse handle such an incredible amount of data? Like, what are the mechanics that support this vast landscape and like the quick render times that NVIDIA is able to offer?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. It's one of the reasons I was excited to come join. Obviously, NVIDIA's got over 20 years of experience building these things, and there's a lot of really smart people working on this. It's common to see trillions of polygons and it renders no problem. And it's all based on USD, which is Pixar's Universal Scene Description. They open source that, and we're trying to, we're leveraging that and building upon it with other open source stuff that we've got, such as MDL, material definitions. And really, it's a combination of a number of things that bring it together. But the core rendering and the engineering team here is really smart. So there's a lot of really great innovations that obviously we're able to use it ourselves. And so we're pushing it every day as hard as we can.
With regards to Pixar's universal scene description, that's kind of like the HTML of 3D that serves as the foundation for Omniverse to be able to share those different files with multiple parties and have everyone, all of their software just plug in and be able to work on the same thing. Is that correct? Is that what allows the various connected softwares to just simultaneously edit different projects?
Yeah, so you can think of USD as a file format, of course, but it comes with a really powerful layering ability. So you're able to build layers on top of each other, kind of if you're familiar with working like a Photoshop, for instance, or that type of idea, where I can make a change above your change and see it. But we've also built a number of technology within Omniverse to allow that collaboration. So USD is a great place to start. And of course, many different applications are starting to support it and more every day, which is awesome. And then we've really focused on the whole collaboration and simulation side of allowing, you and I, for instance, to connect and see it live real time and make changes. So it's a really good combo of, like I said, you can use these layers as well as build out from there.
Now, with the Omniverse rendering things in real time, what does that really mean for creators? Like, is it just simply instant?
Yeah, it's really exciting stuff. So we have several renders within Omniverse. We have one called RT with real-time mode, and it's basically rendering real time constantly. So as I'm looking at the scene, it's rendered. And then we have other renders on top of that. One is called path tracing or PT mode, which will allow you to start cranking up even more fidelity. And it really depends on the system you're using and how much you want to wait, basically. So you can work either instantly all the way up to the gold standard with iRay, where it's physically accurate. And so you can really control where you feel comfortable, and it depends on what you're doing. So maybe if you're working on an animation, you care more about the motion and seeing stuff quickly, you might turn the fidelity down and see it real time. But at the same time, our real time still has ray tracing and reflections and all sorts of stuff. So it really feels like, when you start playing video games, this is well beyond that. So the idea of seeing the reflection, and if I'm acting like into a mirror or like a shiny car or something, you can see that even in RT mode. But then as you crank it up, you get into things like caustics. So seeing how the light bends through glass and water and stuff like that, which is pretty impressive.
It is very impressive. And can these renderings be witnessed kind of by multiple people at the same time? Or
Yeah.
does they can?
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. So that's what's really exciting about this is that, previous to this, you kind of, you would open up your scene and work on it and then give it to somebody else. But now you and I can work on the same scene together, or we can have multiple people. So just yesterday, we did a session with 8 of us all working to test some new stuff that we're working on. And it gets kind of chaotic because you have so many people moving stuff. It's like, well, you really have to start, obviously with communication and live meetings like this, where you can start talking about, like, okay, I'm going to work on this tree, and you can work on maybe the roadway or something beside it, and you can see what each other are doing, right? Even so, if I make my tree bigger, the shadow casts on your road, etc. So it's really fascinating to work together because you're literally live in the same scene.
Is there a potential within the Omniverse to work with software that is not 3D?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, we've been working with Adobe for Substance, for instance, but
Hmm.
as well as things like Photoshop, where you can save a file. We have what we call Omniverse Drive, which is essentially a drive that sits on your local computer that you can then save files to, and it's connected immediately. But also within Omniverse, as I'm looking in Create, for instance, each of the texture paths are just a URL essentially. And so while I could save a texture from Photoshop and it'll just upload it and update immediately, you could also potentially just use a web page. So if you've got web pages with JPEGs, for instance, I've done this in the past too, where I'm just wanted to experiment with different ideas. You can browse different web pages and just chuck the URL right in there. And there's a number of, like, for instance, there's a number of HDRI places that have free HDRIs, which are like the high definition image that you would put in your SkyDome for like a background. And you can just put different URLs directly in there and try it without even having to download or anything else. And Omniverse happily just points to the internet and away it goes.
What kind of place would a program like After Effects have within Omniverse? Is that a possibility?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously use After Effects all the time. Typically, I'm rendering and then bringing it over there to add some layers, some effects and stuff like that. So obviously, that type of workflow is well known. Um, in the future, potentially we could do that. We don't have video streaming textures yet, but it's definitely on the backlog. And we've been working with Adobe on a number of other things like Substance and different things. So expect that sort of thing to keep developing. And we're also working with a number of other partners too, right? So it really depends on what the community asks for and what people are pushing for, and we'll work on, in order as fast as we can.
Well, that's very amazing. Thank you so much, TJ. This has been really nice to meet you, and thank you for helping me wrap my mind around the Omniverse.
Yeah, happy to be here. Thank you.